By the time the mall closed, I was ready to throw a hanger at somebody. Halloween night in retail is a special kind of hell. Kids dropping lollipops on the floor. Teenagers knocking over displays for fun. Adults demanding discounts as if the world owes them one. I'd been on my feet since noon at Style Stop, smiling until my cheeks ached, pretending I didn't hear the clock tick past 9. When I finally locked the front doors, the mall was a graveyard. Half the lights were out. The air smelled faintly of cinnamon pretzels and bleach, and the echo of the closing announcement still rang in my ears. Outside, the parking lot was almost empty. A few cars glowed under the orange lamps, their shadows stretching long and thin across the asphalt. I checked the bus schedule on my phone. Next bus, 58 minutes. I groaned out loud. My shoes were cheap, and my socks were damp from mopping up a spilled soda earlier. The thought of standing here for another hour made my spine ache. That's when I thought, the park, Ravenwood, right across the street, past the old iron gate, and into the dark. The shortcut. It would cut at least 20 minutes off my walk. I'd taken it plenty of times before. On bright summer mornings, when it was full of joggers and dog walkers, but now it was nearly 10, and the only light inside came from the moon, still 20 minutes. I just wanted to go home, so I crossed the street and stepped inside. The sound changed immediately. Out there, traffic murmured, signs buzzed, someone's radio played faintly from a car. But in here, it was silent. Even the wind sounded muffled, like the air itself was thicker. I turned on my phone flashlight, the beam shaking in my hand. The path wound through the trees, a narrow strip of cracked asphalt half buried in leaves. The smell of wet dirt filled my nose. A few minutes in, I passed the playground. Rusted slide, tilted seesaw, 2 swings. One of them was moving, just barely, swaying back and forth. I stopped. There was no breeze. Okay, I muttered under my breath. Don't be dramatic. But then I heard it, faint and deliberate, the sound of leaves crunching behind me. Slow, measured, following. I spun, light cutting through the dark. Nothing, just trees. I stood there for a full 10 seconds, heart hammering. Then I forced myself to keep walking. Faster now. By the time I reached the wooden bridge over the creek, my nerves were stretched thin. The boards creaked under my weight. My flashlight wobbled as I scanned the trees. That's when I heard it again. Footsteps, heavier this time. Hello, I called out, voice cracking a little. Is someone there? No answer. But when I turned my head, I caught a flicker of light between the trees, just for an instant, like the reflection off glass. A phone screen, maybe. Someone was there. Hey, I said, louder now. I can see you. Nothing moved. For a moment, I thought maybe I'd imagined it, that maybe it was just the moon hitting something metal. But I could feel it. Eyes on me, watching, waiting. I walked faster, then faster still. By the time I cleared the bridge, I was practically jogging. The path twisted in directions I didn't remember. Everything looked unfamiliar. Too many turns, too many shadows. I started second-guessing which way led to the street. My flashlight's battery was down to 10%. I tried to stay calm, tried to think. Left at the pond, right past the benches, straight to the gate. That's how I used to go. But when I reached the clearing, something caught my attention. Fresh footprints in the dirt beside the path. Deep, heavy ones. Not mine. And they were facing me. That's when I started to run. Branches clawed at my jacket. Leaves kicked up behind me. My breathing grew ragged. Every time I slowed, I could hear the rhythm again. Someone else's footsteps. Close, but not too close. Keeping pace. I didn't dare look back. When I finally saw the far gate through the trees, I almost cried. The faint glow of streetlights. The outline of Maple Street beyond. Civilization. I sprinted the last stretch, then froze. The gate was closed. A heavy padlock hung through the latch, new and shiny. My stomach dropped. I grabbed the bars and rattled them. A solid. Then, a sound behind me. Slow, steady footsteps. I turned. My flashlight flicked weakly across the path. A man stood a few yards away. Hood up, hands in his pockets. Just watching. "Hey," I said, trying to sound firm. "You lost or something?" He didn't answer. "Look, the park's closed. I don't know who you are, but..." He took one step forward. I backed up until I hit cold metal. He took another step. My flashlight dimmed, flickered. The beam caught his face for half a second, long enough to see something glinting in his hand. I didn't wait to find out what it was. I dropped the light, grabbed the side of the fence, and started climbing. My palm slipped on the cold metal, but adrenaline carried me over. I hit the pavement on the other side hard enough to knock the breath out of me. When I looked back, he was standing at the gate, still as stone, watching. I didn't stop running until I was halfway down Maple Street. Cars passed, people laughed from somewhere nearby, a dog barked. The normal sounds of a normal night, but none of it felt normal anymore. I pulled out my phone with shaking hands. The flashlight was still on, the camera app open. The red recording light blinked in the corner. I must have hit it by accident while I was running. I hit stop and replayed it without thinking. The screen filled with blurry motion, flashes of light, the sound of my own panicked breathing. Then, just before it cut off, a single frame froze. The gate, the man behind it, staring straight into the camera. I called the police that night. They sent a patrol car, took my statement, wrote it off as likely a vagrant or someone passing through. They said they'd look into it. They never called back. Now, every time I walk home from work, I take the long way around, even if it adds half an hour, even if it rains, because sometimes when I pass the park entrance, I still see that padlock glinting in the dark. And every once in a while, I swear I catch a reflection of a phone screen, glowing faintly between the trees. I don't really tell this story anymore. Not because I'm scared of it, not exactly, but because every time I do, someone ends up saying, "Oh, that sounds like an urban legend." And I wish it was. I really, really wish it was. It happened when I was 17. Halloween night, 2002. My best friend, Renee, had this idea that we'd go to the next town over because they had better candy and fewer kids we knew. It was freezing that night, that kind of dry, early winter cold, where the air smells like metal. I remember my breath looking like smoke under the streetlights. We were dressed up, of course. She was a witch. I was supposed to be a cat, though I'd forgotten the ears and just looked like some girl in black eyeliner. Typical. By 10 o'clock, the little kids were gone. The houses had started turning off their porch lights, and we were just walking and talking, trying to stretch the night out. My mom thought we were staying at Renee's. Renee's mom thought we were at mine. Miller Road was our only way back to the main highway, this long, 2-lane stretch that cuts through woods and old farmland. No sidewalks, no houses, just those reflective posts that blink in your headlights. It's the kind of road where you can't see what's ahead, just black trees closing in like teeth. We were halfway down it when we saw headlights behind us. At first, I thought it was just a regular car, but the lights were steady, not bouncing. And then I saw the flash of red and blue. A cop. Renee froze. We didn't do anything wrong, but something about that made my stomach twist. He slowed down behind us, tires crunching gravel. Then his window rolled down. "Evening, girls," he said. His voice was calm, deep. He had one of those smiles that doesn't touch his eyes. "You shouldn't be out here alone." Renee, always braver than me, smiled back and said, "We're just heading home, sir." He tilted his head, looking past her toward me. "You live around here?" I said, "Yeah, just a few miles up." A lie, obviously. He nodded, still smiling. "Why don't I give you two a ride? It's late, and folks can get into trouble walking out here." Something in his tone made me want to run. Not what he said, how he said it. The words were right, but the feeling behind them was wrong, like he was trying to sound casual and couldn't quite pull it off. Renee hesitated. "We're okay, really." That smile flickered, just a second, and his jaw tightened. "It's not a suggestion," he said. "It's not safe out here." The way he said "not safe" made my skin crawl. He got out of the car, slow, and the sound of the door closing was loud in the stillness. He was tall, with that old-style uniform, the kind with the pressed slacks and the shiny belt. No body camera, obviously. It was 2002. He walked around to the back of the car, opened the door, and stood there, waiting. "Go on," he said. "Hop in." Renee and I just looked at each other. I swear we didn't even speak. It was like our brains synced up. I shook my head once. Renee turned back toward the woods. He took a step closer. "Don't make this difficult." That's when I noticed his cruiser didn't have a number on the side. No decal, no badge. Just a white car with a single red-blue bar on top. Renee bolted, straight into the woods. I followed, branches tearing at my sleeves, my breath clawing out of my throat. Behind us, I heard the cop yell, not words, just a sound. Angry. We didn't stop until we hit the back of an old barn. The boards were half rotted, but we squeezed inside and crouched down. My heart was slamming against my ribs. We heard the car door slam again. Then the engine, slow, rolling along the dirt shoulder. His headlights cut through the trees like white knives, moving back and forth. He was looking for us. After maybe 15 minutes, the lights faded. We didn't move for another half hour. When we finally crawled out, the night was dead quiet. No sirens, no cars, just the wind in the dry grass. We walked the rest of the way home in silence. Didn't tell our parents. Didn't tell anyone. The next morning, I turned on the local news, and that's when I saw his face. A mugshot. The headline read, "Former county officer arrested after traffic stop abduction." He'd been dismissed from the force years before for misconduct. Apparently, he'd been driving around pretending to be on duty, pulling women over, convincing them to get in his car. The reporter said they'd found evidence of multiple victims. When I saw his photo, I froze. Same man, same dead smile. They said he was caught after trying to pick up a woman near Miller Road, the same night we'd seen him. The only reason they found him was because she ran too, straight into a farmhouse with lights still on. Renee and I didn't talk about it again until years later. We were both in our 30s by then. She said she sometimes still dreams about those headlights, the way they followed us through the trees. Me, I still see that smile. And sometimes, Late on Halloween night, I'll be driving home, windows up, radio low, and I'll catch a flash of red and blue in the rearview mirror. My throat closes every single time, because for 1 second, I swear, it's him. I moved into the townhouse right before Thanksgiving, one of those in-unit places off Forest Drive, the kind that look brand new from the outside, but smell faintly of mildew inside. It was supposed to be a fresh start, closer to work, closer to the water, away from my ex. I told myself it was fine to spend the holiday alone. I unpacked most of my stuff by Wednesday night. The street was quiet, except for the wind dragging the last brown leaves down the pavement. Across from me was a dark unit with the blinds always drawn. My realtor had said someone lived there, but I hadn't seen a soul. Thursday morning, Thanksgiving, I woke up to silence. No traffic, no family noise, just the hum of the fridge. I made coffee and realized I hadn't bought anything to eat. No turkey, not even instant mashed potatoes. The fridge was practically empty. One half-drunk bottle of Coke, a carton of eggs, and ketchup packets. So I decided to drive to the only place that might be open, the 24-hour gas station down near West Street. The place was almost empty when I walked in. Humming fluorescents, smell of burnt coffee. Behind the counter was a man I'd never seen before. He was tall, mid-40s, pale in that way that looks unhealthy. He had a long, stringy ponytail and a faded Wawa hoodie. He smiled when I came in, a weird kind of smile, too long, too focused. "Happy Thanksgiving," he said, voice soft but sharp. "Guess you drew the short straw too, huh?" I laughed politely. Something like that. He watched me as I walked the aisles. I grabbed a microwave dinner, a pack of beer, and a pie slice wrapped in plastic. When I brought it up to the counter, he leaned on it, close enough that I could smell his breath, sweet and sour, like rotting fruit. "You new around here?" "Yeah, just moved in off Forest Drive." "Oh yeah?" He grinned. "Those townhouses back behind the trees. Used to know someone lived in one of those. Didn't end too well." I tried to smile back, like I wasn't instantly uncomfortable. "Oh, what happened?" He tilted his head, like he was enjoying my reaction. "Guy disappeared, left his Thanksgiving dinner, half eaten on the counter. Never found him." He said it with such calm, like he was telling me the weather. I laughed again, nervously. "That's creepy." "Yeah," he said, tapping my beer with one long finger. "You watch yourself out there, Kevin." I froze a little. I hadn't told him my name. "It's on your card," he said, before I could ask, smiling wider. Just trying to be friendly, I paid and left fast, feeling his eyes on me the whole way to the door. When I got home, the air inside the townhouse felt stiller, like the temperature had dropped. I microwaved dinner, cracked open a beer, and put on a football game I didn't care about. At halftime, I heard a soft knock at the door. It was nearly dark outside, and no one should have been there. I checked through the peephole. No one. Just the quiet porch light and the fog starting to roll in from the woods. But wait. I spotted a plastic bag sitting on my doorstep, the same kind they used at the gas station. Inside was another microwave meal, same brand as the one I'd bought, and a folded napkin with writing on it. "Can't let you eat alone. No name." I shut the door and locked it, heart hammering. I looked through the window again. Still no one. I tossed the bag straight into the trash and went upstairs, telling myself it was a prank. Maybe the cashier was just lonely. Weird, whatever. Around midnight, I woke up to a noise downstairs, like the creak of a floorboard. I told myself houses settle. I told myself that a townhouse built in 2008 can still make noises, but then came another sound, a soft, dragging shuffle across the floor. I grabbed the baseball bat from the closet and went downstairs. The living room light was still on. Everything looked normal, except the front door was unlocked. I swear I'd locked it. There was something else too, a faint smell, like cigarette smoke mixed with something metallic. Then, on the kitchen counter, I saw my empty beer can, and next to it, a new one. Fresh, unopened, same brand, same kind I'd bought earlier. That was enough. I packed a bag, threw it in my car, and drove straight to my friend Mark's place in Crofton, about 15 minutes away. I didn't sleep that night. The next day, Friday, I went back in daylight with Mark. The door was locked again. Nothing seemed touched. The extra beer can was gone. The trash with the gas station bag, gone too. Probably just your mind playing tricks, Mark said. You've been stressed. Maybe he was right. I almost convinced myself I'd imagined it until the next week when I stopped at that gas station again on my way home from work. Different cashier, young kid. I asked him about the older guy with the ponytail. The kid frowned. You mean Dale? He's not supposed to be here. Got fired months ago. I blinked. No, he was here on Thanksgiving. He rang me up. The kid shook his head. No way. Manager said he's not allowed within a mile of the place. Cops picked him up last year for stalking some guy from over on Forest Drive. Real psycho. Broke into his house, left him notes and food, like pretending to take care of him or something. I must have looked pale because the kid stopped talking. You okay, man? I just walked out. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept checking the locks, the windows, the back door. I thought about what the kid said, that Dale had been caught doing this before. I finally drifted off around 2 a.m. Then the knocking started again. 3 slow knocks. I went to the window and peeked out. The porch was empty, except for another bag. Same kind. Same napkin, folded neatly on top. This time it said, "Don't move again. I found you." I didn't call the cops right away. I don't know why. Maybe some stupid part of me thought it'd just make things worse. Instead, I turned off all the lights and waited with the bat in my hand, heart pounding so hard it hurt. After what felt like hours, I finally called 911. They came, checked the place, didn't find anyone. They told me to stay somewhere else for the night. When they left, I grabbed my keys. But as I stepped outside, I noticed something in the thin mud by the walkway. Footprints. Bare ones. They went from the edge of the woods straight to my porch, and then back again. 2 weeks later, I moved out. Didn't even finish the lease. I told the property manager there was a gas leak or something. Anything to get out. I heard later from one of the neighbors that the cops came around asking questions again. Apparently, someone broke into the same unit after I left. Nothing stolen. Just signs that someone had been sleeping there. In the basement, they said the person left behind food containers, gas station meals, beer cans, and a mattress on the floor. And scrawled on the wall in marker above the mattress was a single sentence. Kevin didn't say goodbye. I found my sister's fingernail in my hair the morning after Christmas. Just one, chip red polish, a crescent of dried crimson clinging to the edge, the same color she'd been wearing when she disappeared the night before. I didn't scream. I didn't even breathe for a second. I just sat up in bed, the cold air biting my throat, and stared at it lying in my palm. I knew what it meant because we'd promised never to touch Grandma's necklace again. Our grandmother passed 2 Christmases ago, and she left the necklace to both of us. For the twins, she wrote, in that shaky handwriting I used to trace with my finger when I missed her. It wasn't anything fancy, just a thin silver chain with a locket shaped like a teardrop. Inside was a faded photo of her and my grandfather. The glass cracked down the middle, but my sister Lila said the necklace hummed. At first, I laughed it off. I told her maybe it was the radiator or her own heartbeat, but she swore it was real, a low vibration, like something alive inside it. That Christmas Eve, she said she could hear Grandma's voice when she wore it. We were staying in Grandma's old house, the one that still smelled like cedar and mothballs, no matter how much we aired it out. Snow piled against the windows, and the power kept flickering. Mom was asleep upstairs, and Dad was stuck at the hospital because of the storm, so it was just the 2 of us in that dim, humming house. Lila was sitting on the rug by the tree, the necklace clasped around her neck. The lights blinked red, green, red, green, casting her face in sharp, shifting colors. She says she misses us, Lila whispered. Who? I asked, though I already knew. Grandma. She says she never left. I felt a chill crawl up my back. Take it off, Lila. She wants to show me something, she said, and then her eyes went blank, not rolled back, just empty, like she was looking at something far away that I couldn't see. The lights went out. The only sound was the storm outside and the faint rattle of the necklace chain. I swear I heard something whisper. Not words, just the shape of them, from the direction of the tree. Then, a flash. The lights flickered back on and Lila was gone. The necklace lay on the floor. The locket open. Inside, the photo had changed. Grandma's cracked smile was still there, but beside her wasn't Grandpa anymore. It was Lila. We searched the whole house, top to bottom. Mom thought maybe she'd gone out to look for Dad, but the snow outside was untouched. No footprints, no sign of her. The police said maybe she'd run away, that she was 17, that kids do things like that. But I knew she was still in the house. Last night, Christmas Eve again, I came back. Mom couldn't bear to set foot in the place anymore, but I needed to know. I needed to see if I was right. The house was cold and hollow, filled with the soft ticking of the grandfather clock. I lit a few candles and found the box in the attic, the one where I'd locked the necklace away. It was still there, just as I'd left it. But when I opened the locket this time, the photo had changed again. Now it was just Grandma, and behind her, the faint outline of someone standing in the dark, half seen, blurred, like movement caught mid-frame, the size and shape of my sister. The humming started again, not from the necklace this time, from the floorboards beneath me. I dropped the locket. It landed face down and the hum stopped. But when I reached down to pick it up, there were fingernail marks in the wood. Fresh ones, 10 deep scratches, as if someone had been dragged away. I wanted to leave right then, but something made me look up. In the corner of the attic, by the old cedar chest, something was moving, slow and jerky, like a puppet learning how to walk. And then I saw her, Lila. Her skin was gray and stretched, her hair hanging limp, and around her neck the necklace shimmered faintly, catching the candlelight. She tilted her head and smiled. Grandma says hi, she whispered. Her voice wasn't right, like 2 people speaking at once. Then she stepped closer, and the candle went out. I woke up this morning in my bed. My clothes were damp, my hair tangled, and in my hand, that chipped red fingernail. The necklace was gone, but sometimes when the room gets quiet, I hear that low hum again from somewhere under the floorboards, like the house itself is breathing. And I know what Grandma meant now. She never left. Neither did Lila. You ever notice how the cold makes sound travel different? Like the world's holding its breath. That's what I remember most about that week before Christmas. The sound, the quiet between noises, the click of cooling metal, the hum of the fluorescence over my head, the crackle of the radio that only played static because the antenna froze over. The whole shop smelled like burnt oil and salt. Name's Jimmy. I run a little garage off Route 140, just outside Westminster. Used to be my dad's, back when folks still trusted a handshake more than a Yelp review. I've been working that place damn near 20 years, and truth be told, I like the winters best. Less talking, more fixing. Nobody hanging around longer than they need to. That week was colder than I can remember. Air sharp enough to split your lip if you smiled too hard. I'd been running the shop solo. My helper, Ronnie, was home with the flu, so I was taking late jobs just to keep up. December 23rd, around 10:30, I was closing up when I heard tires crunch on the lot. I looked up, and through the fog, I saw an old Ford Taurus rolling in. No headlights, no sound, just slid right into the light like it had been coasting forever. Now this car looked tired, paint bubbled up from rust, one tail light taped over with red plastic, Maryland plates bent damn near in half. Guy gets out, mid-50s maybe, clean jacket, but old boots. Had that worn out look, like somebody who'd been cold for a long time. He says, "You still open?" Technically, no, I tell him. But what's going on? He says his brake's been acting funny. Said he just needed me to make sure it'll stop when it needs to. I say, sure, pull it into the bay. He nods quiet. No small talk. Just gets back in the car, eases it in, shuts the engine off. When he hands me the keys, I notice his hands. Not grease-stained like most folks who work on their own rides. His were clean, but the nails were all cracked like he'd been digging in dirt. Anyway, I pop the hood, tell him I'll check it out. He kinda half smiles, says, "Appreciate it, Jimmy." Didn't remember telling him my name. I crouch under the lift and start looking things over. Pads were new, too new. Rotors looked like they'd been sanded clean. No reason for his brakes to act up. When I got up to tell him that, he was gone. Door half open, fog drifting in. I figured maybe he stepped out to smoke or make a call, so I finished up. Then I see it. The trunk's got a chain through the latch, like someone didn't want it opened. That gave me pause. You see some weird stuff working on cars. Stashed boxes, old ammo, even a damn snake once. But chains? That's different. I wrote the ticket, left it on the counter, and figured I'd ask him about it when he came back. But he didn't. I waited maybe half an hour before locking up. The Taurus stayed right there in Bay 2. I shut the lights off, turned the heat down, went home. Next morning, Christmas Eve, I show up early. Place feels colder than it should. I step inside, and to my surprise, the bay doors open halfway, just hanging there. The Taurus still sitting where I left it. But the hood's up again. Now, I'm starting to feel off about it. I didn't leave it like that. And right on the seat, folded neat, there's a note. Just one line. You fixed it. Thank you, no signature. Nothing. I checked the cameras. Whole system glitched out from 11 p.m. to 12:15. Static. Looked like somebody yanked the power, then plugged it back in. So I figure, fine, maybe dude came back after hours, grabbed his car, left me a note. Happens sometimes, except the car never moved. The snow around it hadn't been touched. By noon, I call a buddy of mine, Dave. Works down at the sheriff's office. Told him I had a weird one. He runs the plates. Calls me back an hour later sounding funny. He says, Jimmy, that car was impounded 2 years ago. Owner was found off Route 27. Truck accident. Died in the ditch before they even got to him. That Taurus been sitting in county storage till spring when it got auctioned off. Buyer never picked it up. Now, I don't go in for ghost stories. I don't. But I went back out to the shop that night. Needed to see for myself. The lot was empty. Every bay locked up tight. But as soon as I hit the switch, I heard that sound. An engine turning over real slow. Then cutting out. Then again, it was coming from bay 2. I walk over, heart thumping, and there's nothing there. Just a damp spot on the concrete, shaped like tire tracks, leading straight to the door. And on my workbench, where the note had been, was a little box, about the size of a shoebox, wrapped in Christmas paper. Same color as that Taurus. I didn't open it. I swear to you I didn't. I just took it, put it on the shelf in the office, locked the door, and went home. Didn't even close up proper. Next morning, Christmas Day, I came in and the box was gone. Whole shop smelled like burnt rubber and cold metal. The kind of smell that stick to your clothes. You can say what you want. Glitch in the cameras. Maybe a prank. Maybe I was tired. But every December since, I still hear that slow turning engine some nights. And once, just last year, this kid came by in an old Taurus, wanted me to check his brakes. Same color, same rust around the tail light. I told him no charge, just take care of the car. He laughed and said, appreciate it, Jimmy. Never told him my name.